Welcome back. Heavy rainfall is again battering Texas, hampering search efforts for the more than 170 people who remain missing following catastrophic July 4th flooding in the central part of that state. Multiple roads in Texas were closed today due to the flooding. Officials are, of course, urging residents to seek higher ground. Meanwhile, false claims are circulating and recirculating online, blaming the deadly flooding seen earlier this month on a weather modification technique known as cloud seeding. CBS News senior national weather correspondent Rob Marciano joins me now to discuss. Rob, I'm grateful to you. Help us break this down. What is cloud seeding? What is it used for? And how online does it get indicted whenever there is a catastrophic rain event?
Hey, Major, good to be with you. Yeah, I was shocked to see all the finger pointing in the hours after this catastrophe, and then the weather modification claims, a whole nother thing. Let's dive into cloud seeding, just the basics of it, or how we get a cloud. A cloud is water vapor hanging in the air that condenses on something. It has to condense on something. We call that condensation nuclei, and it's typically microscopic. It's dust, it's sea salt, it's pollen, can be pollution. And so in drought areas and out in the West, they've tried to modify the weather, make some of those clouds get heavier with more condensation and get some rain out of them. And by doing what they do is they put in a little silver iodide, and they typically fly a plane up there that shoots it into the clouds in the hopes that there'll be more condensation nuclei, heavier condensing within that cloud, heavy enough to where it gets to rain, or at least rain more. And typically what we found is that a cloud that can precipitate will squeeze another 10 to 20% more rain out if we cloud seed. The fact that we got 10, 20 inches of rainfall in just a matter of days, in some cases hours here, that's not a 10 or 20% increase. That's a year's worth of rain in some cases. And there was the reason this got all started, Major, there was some cloud seeding being done about 150 miles southeast of there. San Antonio's been in this horrible drought. So a private company was doing some cloud seeding 2 days prior to this. Cloud seeding has a shelf life of just really a few hours, maybe 12 hours. Once that cloud rains itself out or moves on, it's done. So there's no way that any sort of cloud seeding contributed to this disaster.
And does this, Rob, from your vantage point, fit into a kind of convenient climate change denialism, looking for some other cause?
I suppose so, but maybe it's just a reason to put on a tinfoil hat again. We're all looking for answers, and I think in this particular case too, it was just a horrific tragedy. It still is. There's still people missing. There's going to be probably 300 fatalities at the end of the day here, and so many kids. So the nation as a whole is mourning here, and whenever something happens to your family or something close to you, like a death, you want answers, and people are grappling for answers other than, well, we had this freak event where two old tropical systems kind of converged on Texas and they stood over the same place and rained itself out. I guess that explanation is not good enough for everybody, and that's where we get people jumping in to point fingers like this.
Rob, there are moves at the federal level by Marjorie Taylor Greene, Republican congresswoman from Georgia, and at the state level in some cases to ban this weather modification technique. Would that be a bad idea to actually criminalize it?
I don't know if we should criminalize. There's regulations state by state. NOAA requires that you tell them 10 days ahead of time if you're going to do this. It's all privatized. But again, every state has its own set of regulations. And in this case, it's probably best to keep it up to the states and not make it a criminal act. It's a lot of it wouldn't be good, but we do need some of it, certainly in drought areas. And we still need to experiment with more of it to kind of see where this could take us in the future. Weather modification as a whole, if you do it globally, that I think that's impossible and probably not a great thing. But in areas that maybe need a little extra rain, we need to look into continuing to do that at small scales.
All right. Let's give the people what they want. Shit.
I don't think.
Take two.
You ever get the feeling that everything in America is completely fucked up? You know that feeling that the whole country is like 1 inch away from saying, that's it, forget it. Let's see,
They
we're
twist
on,
around. Now look, here's a
92
house full of
FM,
bees.
right? It feels like
You think the
nice
honey
cool
badger
little
cares?
bands
It doesn't
on
give a
the
shit.
Listen, let's get one thing straight.
Price is Right.
Guns don't kill people. I do.
Where the bad folks go when they die, they don't go to heaven where the angels fly. They go to the lake of fire. We'll see him again until the 4th of July. I knew a lady who came to Duluth, who had been by a dog with a rabbit too. She went to her grave a little too soon and flew away howling on the yellow moon.
They run out of Tom Wood show ups.
Where the bad folks go when
So
they
check out
die,
Liberty Tree
they don't
Podcast.
go to heaven where the angels fly. They go to the lake of fire. I don't see them again until the 4th of July.
I think some apologies are in order.
Who is that?
Meat Puppets.
God dang it.
Yeah,
That's what I was going to guess.
Nirvana covers that song on one of their albums.
Is that the original or was
Yeah.
really?
Yep. That's from I think from their 1994 album.
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah. Crazy band.
Yeah, they're awesome.
They're like sludge grunge.
Yeah.
Grudge.
Grudge band.
So good.
I bought one of their tapes when I was like, geez, 14. And this is, I didn't know what to make of it.
yeah, it's out
I
there.
was like, I don't understand what this is exactly. Because I can't remember which album on, but they had a song called Walkin' Boss. And it's like, the vocals are very unique, I think we can say. And at first I was like, I don't really understand what's going on here.
Do I like this?
Yeah, because I wanted to hear DRI and Corrosion of Conform, just fast, hardcore. Mm-hmm. And then it grew on me. And after a while, I was like, dude, this is like some of the awesomest music I've ever heard.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're great.
totally. Yeah, not for everybody, but
Yeah.
I like them. So, did I tell you about fixing my neighbor's water heater the other day?
The bare
Trying
bones
to?
of it. And it did run into your neighbor. And he told me about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'd like to hear his side of it. Because our plumber friend Paul went over there. And
You should ask Paul about Bitcoin sometime.
the thing about Paul, you don't have to ask him about it.
He will tell you. He will get your phone number and text you about it.
We had a conversation in my neighbor's garage about it. But I went over there the night before. Their hot water heater was doing something weird. He says it's like it's shooting flame out of this port. I'm like, that doesn't sound good. So I go over there and it had been off for a minute. So he turned it back on, and I'm kind of crouched down looking at it. And for those who don't know, Jake, I don't know if you've heard this, but I was blown up once in a propane explosion from a water heater that was brand new in a house that I built. I was troubleshooting why the water heater wasn't working, and I just assumed that we needed to bleed the lines out because you have all these pipes running all the way from the propane tank to the house, and they're all full of air. You have to get that air out, obviously, before the appliance can work. And so I'm bleeding the air out of the line and not smelling any gas. And I'm just like, and
Which, for those of us that don't know, propane is odorized specifically so you can tell
yeah, because it doesn't.
if a room is full of propane.
It doesn't come out of the ground
Yes.
odorized. They do it as a safety feature. So my clients are checking on me like, you got anything yet? And I'm like, no. Do you guys smell propane? They're like, no, we don't smell anything. And I'm like I feel the air coming out of it, like blowing into my face.
Yeah.
Turns out the propane wasn't odorized. I filled the room up with propane, and when I plugged the water heater back in, it arced, and the whole fucking room exploded, and I got badly burned and blew the fucking tile off the wall in the next room. And it was very traumatic, as you can imagine. And so I'm in my neighbor's garage trying to help him kind of troubleshoot what's going on with this water heater. And he turns it back on, and I'm kind of crouched down looking at it. And he goes, let me go turn the hot water on in the other room, just to try to get the thing to start going. And as soon as he does that, the fucking thing just shoots this flame out. Boom! Like shoots out of the side of the water heater. And I fucking dove and did a roll onto the ground. I was laying there like under a blanket, like when he came back out.
Texting your therapist. I gotta come see you again.
Okay. He's like, do you see it? Yeah, I saw it. I see what it's doing. It's fucking terrifying. So
Not so good.
luckily someone else fixed that problem for him.
Yeah. I had a similar. My client called me about a water heater. I said, "Call a plumber. Here's his number." I was like, "I'm not dealing with this."
I would have, but then my buddy almost killed himself. So
Yeah. Jake, did I tell you the road rage incident?
No, I didn't.
Oh,
is this another one? Or the one you already told me? Oh, okay.
I told you. Yeah. Is I pull into the Home Depot in Windsor, which is the town just north of us, and it's in a giant like shopping center with like there's like all this stuff. I pulled in early and got some lunch. I was going to get materials. First thing is I'm in like a pretty legit taqueria. And remember we were talking about just like the sensory overload of noise in restaurants. And I had the blasting Bonda music, the sound of the kitchen, the lady working there, turned on the TV and put on a baseball game, full volume. Two people on each, or one person on each side of me.
It's important because it's hard to watch baseball without the volume.
Yes.
You really can't follow the game.
Yeah, exactly. The people on both sides of me both watching their phones at full volume. It sounds like this is exactly what we were talking about. And then I hear another song, this like Asian techno song blasting. And this fucking robot brought me my tacos.
Okay.
It's just like, and it's got this big kitty emoji on the screen. And I was like, that's what I ordered. And my first thought was like, God, how'd that thing know where I was sitting? Like, I take the tacos and it's just like staring at me. And I'm like, we're having like a stare down. I'm like, like, I can't eat with this cat staring at me like this. And you had to hit the screen and push like, I don't need anything else.
Thank you. Go away.
Leave me alone.
Yeah, it was very bizarre. I pull out of there, and there's these little roads in between all these different businesses. There's probably like 30 businesses in this giant kind of corporate business park. Because from there I had to go to the Home Depot, and as I'm pulling out, this like Chevy Suburban, all beat up, primered, comes ripping around. It's probably going like 60 miles an hour through the parking lot. I was like, holy shit. And the thing, like, he blew through all the stop signs, and I just saw it out of the corner of my eye. I'm like, dude, that thing almost creamed me. So I go around to the Home Depot, and there's a bunch of people standing in front of the Home Depot, and they all got their phones out. And in my mind, I go, like, these two things are probably related. So I go up, I'm like, does this have anything to do with that dark-colored Suburban? They're like, yeah, did you see anything? I'm like, yeah, he almost just ran right into me over there. They're like, cops are on their way. I guess these two guys got in a road rage incident and were actually ramming each other with their cars in the Home Depot parking lot. One of them plowed through, they have that big kind of kiosk thing with all the shopping carts, right through it. Oh. Shopping carts everywhere, broken glass everywhere. Next thing you know, there's like 20 cop cars everywhere. And I was asking the lady, I was like, so what happened? It's like, I don't know. These two guys, I saw them fighting over there, and they both got in their cars, and then they started chasing each other around the parking lot. They eventually like came down the same lane, and they actually started ramming each other with each other's car. And I was in my mind, because my first thought is like, what are the chances of two people with like unbridled hockey temper finding each other, out in the wild like that? Because it's a certain kind of personality that, like, this guy pissed me off so much, I'm going to ram him with my car.
Well, it takes
two of those guys.
There's not much ramming happening if both people aren't engaged.
Yeah, both parties have to be in vehicles that they feel like are up to the task.
There's
like a snowplow.
Yeah, like you're not in your CRV.
Like if I was in my wife's car, I'd be like, let's not do this.
If this is my truck, dude, I'd be fucking ramming you right now.
It's just mutual combat at that point, right? You got
yeah. But they hit a bunch of other cars. There's glass and shit everywhere. Like they just destroyed the place.
It was gnarly. That's something I would have liked to have seen.
Yeah, and then so I had.
It's probably on like WTF Santa Rosa.
I looked up. I typed in road rage incident Home Depot. I couldn't find anything.
Ugh. Dang.
Yeah, and but I just kept thinking, I'm like, God, like people are losing their fucking mind. I feel like I've seen more road rage in the last.
You keep talking about it.
Couple years than I have my entire life.
You keep bringing it up. I feel like it is on the rise.
Yes,
because it's not like you look for it.
No, No, I try to avoid this.
You're
stuff
one of
altogether.
the most mellow drivers I've ever ridden with.
Yes, slow and low, baby. As my brother says, if you're the slowest guy on the road, there's no traffic. You ever think about that? I'm like, that's a decent point. You're an asshole,
Yes.
but better for the soul. But I have to sit, and the sheriff comes. He goes, "Hey, just sit tight. Like, we're going to need to talk to you about this." I'm like, "All right." I'm just kind of hanging out and talk to one sheriff, talk to another sheriff. I finally go, like, "I've told you guys everything I need to know. Like, I gotta get back to work at this point." And they're like, "Yeah, it's all good. We already caught both guys. We got them on various cameras, like, going out of here." And that was stuck in my mind. Mm-hmm. So I realized, like, oh yeah, there's cameras everywhere. They immediately caught both the people, like, on another overpass. And I was talking to this lady. She goes, "We're looking for a house up here from Oakland. We're trying to, like, get away from this." I'm like, "I'd love to tell you this is not like a regular thing, but
Yeah. You're trying to get away from road rage or a total surveillance state where robots deliver
Right.
your tacos?"
yes." And I thought of that. I'm like, between they just immediately caught the guys who fled off, caught them on another overpass, and the robot that somehow had figured out exactly where I'm sitting and brought me my tacos and had to touch the cat face for it to go away so I could eat. I was just like, I can't wait for deer season.
You gave it your fingerprints when you did that.
Yes, exactly. And my facial biometric data.
Yeah. If you think you're going to avoid the total surveillance state by just wearing the IR blocking glasses,
Yes.
like, no, they have a plan for you.
Yep.
I am going to get those glasses, but you got to fight back. You got to do every little thing.
Yeah.
Fight back. One more little anecdote before we get real. Took the kids shooting yesterday.
Oh, yeah. How'd that go?
Really well.
Awesome.
Fucking great. But on the way out there, they were talking about hunting and how they all took their hunter safety course and they passed and they got the certificate.
Yeah.
But James never got them their licenses.
Yeah.
And they kept, like, bugging him about it, and it just became this, like, joke. Like, they're like, "When are we going hunting?
Yeah.
Dad, when are we?" You know, and we were all, like, in the truck, just kind of on the way out there, just laughing about James. And a fucking, right as I'm about to turn on to Mark West Springs Road, a Porsche pulls.
Oh,
right in
no
front of
way.
me. Yeah.
Because James is a Porsche guy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Everybody noticed. No one said anything. I brought it up after I dropped him off, but everyone was just like, "Oh, fuck."
Yeah. He's watching
Still with us. I know.
He's
I'd like
watching
to
us.
think he appreciated me taking them out to do some of that stuff. But
Yeah.
it was cool.
Very nice.
Hard not to get emotional thinking about that guy.
Yeah.
Gone too soon.
I'm starting to see deer everywhere.
Even where there aren't deer.
Yes. Which might be a problem. Yes, deer season is coming up soon. So
Yes.
I am, yeah. And then after that surveillance thing and the robot waiter, I'm sorry, I cannot wait.
Dude, I just realized I need to plan my knee surgery around deer season.
Wait, you're having surgery?
I'm heading in that direction.
Eee.
I don't know what else to do.
Yeah.
It hurts and I can't train or do anything.
They tell you exactly what it is?
No, I haven't gotten the MRI yet. Coming up, though. So we had a comment from a listener. Definitely not the exact same listener who made the comment before the last show. That it would be nice to know. We tend to bash Trump pretty hard.
We bash everybody pretty hard.
I agree. Our default position is that all politicians are, well, politicians and should not be trusted, with very few exceptions of who have proven it over their, track record of their lives. And we both voted for Trump. And leading up to the election, it did seem like the outsider, air quotes, candidate was going to be the best option for the country. There was obviously the alternative was horrible, but there was also
That might have been fun.
it might have been better. I mean, you could make a case for having things just go completely into the dark side.
Just rip this Band-Aid off.
Yeah. There was a groundswell of support for Trump from all over the country. Young people, Mexicans, black people, our wives, maybe. Even I'm not 100% sure about that, but like people that you would not assume to be like, they're not Republicans.
Yeah, as we said before, the amount of people that came up to me and said, they kind of leaned in like, I think I'm gonna vote for Trump. I'm like, all right.
An alarm
whispering
goes off.
to me.
We got one over here. Get him. So there was, and that the reason for that is that people were feeling like everything, like our intro says, everything in America is completely fucked up. And here was a guy who he and all of the people that he was talking about putting in his cabinet were directly addressing those fucked up things. It was like, how can we go wrong? Like, let's fucking go. Like, this is the best chance we will ever have, that we've ever had up to this point, to actually put someone into a position of power who is going to address the things that make America so fucked up. So we all voted for him. And then since then, there has been just kind of a steady decline in my optimism about the guy.
Yeah.
And I see failure everywhere. So this listener of ours pushed me to say, well, is there anything that you like about Trump? Try to come up with some of that. Like, I think that some of your listeners might like to hear a little bit more balanced kind of approach to Trump.
I think there's an added dynamic here is that we just have a problem with the whole thing. And so anyone in a seat of power is going to get a lot of shit thrown at them.
Well, and to some degree, they are responsible for perpetuating the thing.
Yeah.
The government that I don't believe has any authority to exist in the first place. So I'm always going to be coming from that anarchist kind of point of view. But I voted, so I'm participating also. And I voted for a guy that has let me down a lot.
Yeah.
And so I couldn't find any good things. What do you want to talk about?
You couldn't find any.
No, just kidding. All right, here's just let me go through this.
Okay. Jake,
I
did you even vote?
I did not.
Good on you. Like Dan Carlin said, don't vote. It just encourages the bastards. Those were very wise words. So what I like about Trump is that he is, or he was an outsider. He was truly someone that the establishment feared and did not want. And
That's been proven.
if the assassination attempts were real and not staged, which I'm inclined to believe they were, there's a reason for that. So anyone that the establishment wants to kill, well, is just like us. I mean, they want to kill us,
Yeah.
and kill our children or abuse them, or slowly poison us over time so that we can be hooked on their medications. So that makes me think like he's one of us. Now, to the degree that he has become an insider, I mean, he has been president for 4.5 years, and for 4 years in between his two terms, he was running for president. So he's, take the term outsider with a large grain of salt. But there is something there. Otherwise, they wouldn't be losing their shit about everything that he does. If he was playing ball, I don't think they would have even put up a fight.
Yeah.
They would have put up a fight like they did against John McCain or Mitt Romney. It wouldn't have been this all-out Trump derangement thing that's going on.
Mitt Romney and his binders full of women.
Yes, he has binders full of women. How do you can't fit a woman into a binder? You guys are not making any sense.
You obviously haven't seen Boxing Helena. It's a great movie.
Another thing I love about Trump, I actually do love Trump. I wish he would do better, but I fucking love how he drives people insane.
I was going to say I don't love Trump. The only thing I like about him is the same reason I didn't get vaccinated. I don't really have strong feelings. It just, all I know is that this thing or not doing this thing makes the people I don't really like go fucking crazy. And that makes me happy.
He's pretty fucking hilarious.
He's a great troll.
He is the king of the trolls.
Yes.
And sometimes I don't even think he's trying to be funny, but he just kind of says like weird rich guy things. And people are like, oh my God, like who is this guy?
Yeah.
Like when he talks about groceries Like, it's such a quaint word, groceries. We used to say groceries. Like, we all say groceries. Like, who the fuck are you? And he just can't, you can't pin him down. Everyone's like, what? That's the other thing. It's hard to criticize Trump because he could completely change his mind and do the thing the right way tomorrow.
Yeah.
Kind of like, I don't think anything's going to come of it, and I'll bring it up later, but he recently just ordered Pam Bondi to release all of the sealed grand jury stuff on Epstein, right?
Uh-huh.
Which to me, it's like no one was really asking for that. Like, I don't think that's going to do anything.
I love her defense of going like, we are talking about footage that involves children, and I will not release that to everyone. Everyone's going like, we're not asking for that. No one wants to see that. Like,
No.
That's not the question that we're asking.
No, we want you to do your job.
The other person in this footage is what we're asking about.
And I don't want to see that either. I want you to do your job and make people watch that, as shitty as that's going to be, and figure out who committed the crimes in these videos.
Right.
That's what we want. You don't need to show us, but you need to fucking put some people in handcuffs. Okay, I'm going down my list.
I was done with the whole for the what do we call it? Reverse TDS people. Mm-hmm. Like, now he's got a plan. Stick to the plan. He's, trust the plan. QAnon dorks, and he's playing 4D chess. And I had been done with that for quite a while.
Years,
based on the people that I hear it from. I was like, you're deranged. And the Epstein thing is like just made it official. Like, no. He knows what he's doing. I was like, no, no, nothing's gonna happen.
Okay, good things that he's done. He's blocked the California ban on gas cars that's supposed to happen in 2035.
I did hear that.
I think that's fantastic because our state sucks and they passed some ridiculous laws. Now, I don't want to be living in the federal capital of America. I think California is its own state and should have its states' rights. So there's part of me that's like, I'm glad that he did that. And that's a good thing. But I also want my state to get its shit together. But anyways, that's a good thing that Trump did.
Yeah.
And he's blocked California's higher EPA restrictions, higher than what the EPA restrictions are. California has higher, like smog laws and stuff. He blocked that.
Really?
Yeah. So they have to stick with what the
that one.
EPA is doing. Another organization that shouldn't exist. I like that he's stopping the immigration through Mexico.
Yeah, just to see someone after what we've been through do something about the border. I'm with you on that one.
Because all of the scare stuff that we saw
kind of bring me around a little bit.
There are good things.
Yeah.
I don't want to say that there aren't. I'll get into the bad things in a second, but I'm not going to harp on Trump all episode. But during the election, all we saw was migrants from Asia, the Middle East, Africa, flooding across the border. Right. That was like, what the fuck's going on? People like Brett Weinstein were having podcasts about the Darien Gap and how all of these people are coming from all over the world, right? And so we all want that to stop. We want all those people deported, and hopefully that is what happens. I don't love the idea of deporting people that like own a business here, that are here illegally. To me, there needs to be something
I have a
to
problem
kind
with
of
that too.
And I don't know what the solution is. I mean, you're here illegally. That's wrong. You shouldn't have done that. But maybe there's a little like grace that we can have. But now Trump is talking about amnesty for people that are, he's mentioned it once, and now the Senate is trying to come up with something to grant amnesty to certain industries, which is stupid. Like, just because you're working on a farm or in a restaurant, now you're allowed to come across free. I don't know. So I'm not totally, I don't feel like he's fully fulfilled his promise there. If he deports every single illegal, then I feel like he has lived up to what he said he was going to do, even if it's my nanny or your barber or whoever. Like, that's what he said he was going to do, and we voted for that. So good on you. But if he starts to wiggle around it and then just cut out little favors to certain industries, then I feel like he's kind of losing the script, and people aren't going to love that.
And the argument against the first point that you brought up of, because we're seeing these sob stories on mainstream media about the guy. Oh, he was a citizen, and they grabbed him, bailed him out, kicked him out of the country. Or the guy, like, this guy was here for like 30 years, paid his taxes, did everything right. We're hearing these like fairly highly kind of curated, coordinated personal stories about the shit that's gone wrong with deporting people. The argument against that is that, look, you guys put someone in there for 4 years that just basically opened the border and just flooded somewhere, estimates are between 10 and 20 million people, just waltzed in here, unvetted, unchecked. Everyone. It's like, now we have to clean up the mess. And if we're creating a little bit of dust when we clean up that mess, that's still on you guys. Like, we can't program this large to clean up your guys' mess, and you're complaining about like the dust that we're making as we sweep up. Like,
right.
I think it's a pretty valid point.
Yeah, 100%.
It's sad. It's tragic. I wish it didn't happen, but.
Do you know how much the border wall is costing?
No.
So the border wall in Texas is $25 million per mile.
Pretty reasonable.
Which breaks down to $4,734 per foot.
Okay. For a wall.
For a wall.
Building a house, we're in like, what, $450 a square foot?
A square foot.
Yeah, a square foot of a house.
I'm thinking
with like tile,
like, dude,
and a counter.
We'll do 10 feet of wall just for 50 grand. Like, let's go. I can definitely do that. I've seen the pictures of it. It doesn't look that complex.
Yeah.
But whatever. I don't know. So the big, beautiful bill.
Oh, you're going to have to sell me on this one.
I can't.
Okay.
But there's some things in the big, beautiful bill that you could maybe see as good. Now, the one thing that I was looking forward to was the SHORT Act that got put into the big, beautiful bill.
Never heard of it.
Jake, will you look up what the SHORT Act stands for? SHORT, obviously. Short, yeah. So what it was a bill to remove short-barreled rifles, suppressors, some other things that are on the Firearms Safety Act, I think it was called, that made it so now you have to pay a stamp tax to have these things. You have to have a whole special kind of permission to have a rifle whose barrel is less than 16 inches or a suppressor, right? So this is going to make it so that was gone. They still would have been illegal in California, probably, but the rest of the country, it was like, no, you can actually have these things. It removes them from the, did you get the...
Yeah, so what are you after here?
Short Act. What does it stand for?
Oh, as an acronym? That I don't think I've seen. I think it says it's short because it has to do with
short-barreled rifles.
Barrel, right? Yeah,
but I think it does stand for something. It doesn't really matter.
Stand by.
That was removed from the big, beautiful bill by a Senate parliamentarian, this unelected bureaucrat who was appointed by Harry Reid, because she said that it didn't conform to the Byrd Rule, which is not true. But no one was like fighting for that. It was just like, all right, that's gone. Like, oh, wonderful. The one thing that I wanted out of the big, beautiful bill.
Stop harassing owners of rifles today.
There you go. They always have to have an acronym. It's so stupid. They force in words that are like not really pertinent to the argument, just so it comes out in a word.
What was the Pelosi bill? There was going to be a Pelosi Act. Look that one up.
Like an anti-Pelosi?
It was an anti-insider trading bill. Yeah, but
right.
Pelosi stood for something.
No, I think it was the Hammer. That's what it was called.
The Hammer, the gay hammer attack.
How dare you?
Here we go, joking around again.
Meanwhile, grandstander Thomas Massey has written a bill or sponsored a bill called
the Pelosi Act, prevent elected leaders from owning securities and investments.
So it's the Pelosi Act. Yeah. They always get away with that too. They just lowercase that word and then you don't have to say it out loud. So Thomas Massey, the grandstander who everyone hates for being true to his principles for his entire career, sponsored H.R. 645, which is a constitutional carry bill that the entire country will be allowed to have constitutional carry.
Uh-huh.
So anyone can carry a gun, concealed or not, anywhere in America.
Yeah.
And this is the guy that was the biggest opponent of the Big Beautiful Bill.
Right.
And the one thing in the Big Beautiful Bill that I wanted, the Short Act, got taken out. Meanwhile, here's Thomas Massey offering a similar solution.
Thomas Massey always comes through.
Always. So there's tax cuts in the Big Beautiful Bill,
Okay.
which are significant. And I like paying less taxes. I could never argue against reducing taxes.
You fucking Nazi.
The problem, why is everyone calling me a Nazi lately? God, you tell one joke about gassing the Jews, and all of a sudden you're a Nazi. So the problem with the tax cuts is that it sounds great. I love having more money in my pocket. But you're doing that while simultaneously raising the government's spending.
Yeah.
So you can't pay for that. There's only one other way that the government can pay for a tax cut. They can borrow money or they can print money.
Print money.
But I repeat myself. Those are the same thing.
Which makes the money you saved from your tax cut
Yeah.
worth less.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it raises inflation. And then down the road, someone has to pay for that. Either you or your kids or your grandkids. Like, it's fine to, it's great to cut taxes, but you can't cut taxes and then raise the government spending. We're still paying for it through inflation, which is a hidden tax. And there's this shit going around about this budget surplus going on right now. Have you heard about that?
No.
So people are talking about how great Trump is because for the first time since whenever, we now have a budget surplus. But
While being $37 trillion in debt?
the reason that there's a surplus right now is because June is the month when they collect all of their taxes. All the quarterly taxes come in.
Yeah.
Guess who else had a surplus last June? Biden. And he had a bigger surplus than Trump does.
Yeah.
So people throw this shit out like, well, it's working. All the tariffs and everything working. It's like, no, shut up, asshole. You're cheating. Let's look at the overall. Obviously, you're raising the budget. We're not getting a surplus when you're spending more money.
That's like me sending out invoices, getting paid for them. I'm like, dude, I'm sitting on like 40 grand right now.
Right.
Like, but you haven't paid your mortgage yet, or your health insurance,
your payroll,
or any of your bills.
Yeah, your subcontractors. And you also hear people saying that inflation is down, which is my favorite lie. Mm-hmm. Oh, it's down. Okay, so what is it at now? It's at 2.9%. Okay, so we had 4 years at 18%.
Yeah.
So all of the money that we had before more, it's going on top of what the damage was already done. If inflation is down, means that the rate of inflation is down. What you should be bragging about is that deflation is happening. We're actually getting more value back in our dollar. But they've turned deflation into a bad word, and you mention it to most people, and they're like, oh, how dare you? You can't have deflation of the dollar. Even though that's what we should have. If we wanted to go back to the value that our dollar had in 2019, which was still fucking horrible compared to years previous, we would need deflation to get there, right?
Yeah.
And this big, beautiful bill increases the budget $2.7 trillion above what it already fucking was. And the idea of going back to 2019 budget levels is met in Congress with just outrage. Like, how dare you want to cut Medicare and federal jobs and reduce spending in any single area. We're talking about 2019, where the budget was, our deficit was already $30 trillion.
After 2 years, Cameron Hooker started treating Colleen Stan a lot better. Let her go out in the yard.
So abuse was down.
Abuse was down. Yeah, she's only in the head box at night to be stored under the bed. I'm like, yeah, but what I'm bringing up is 4 years ago, she wasn't in a head box at all. I think there's a strong argument that she was better off, can we say?
Exactly. So
it all comes back to the head box.
The reason that I'm kind of done with well, there's one other thing.
You missed one that hit me.
Okay.
He's blocking federal funding for the high-speed rail system of California.
That's right.
Which was huge.
Yes.
Can you imagine living in another state, going like, my tax money is going to this boondoggle? Like, it's like $100 billion or something like that. Point they haven't laid a single.
It's $100 billion over budget right now.
Right.
It was supposed to be 33 billion. It's at 133, and they haven't done anything. And Gavin Newsom's excuse for that,
go ahead,
is, well, you don't understand how hard it is to take people's land through eminent domain. There's so much. There's so many court costs. It's like,
you don't understand what the amount of work it takes to put someone in a head box. They don't just put it on. It's like there's a psyop. You got to convince them. You got to threaten them. You got to hide them somewhere. This is not like just a walk in the park here, people.
And there's laws against it. So,
and it's illegal.
You know the attorney fees that are involved in this? I was talking to a friend of mine about it, and I was like, like any normal company that proposes doing something like that, if they're not getting billions of dollars in free money from the government, they have to figure out, like, if we go through this person's land with our railroad, they're not, we have to buy the land from them. What is that going to cost?
Yeah.
They're not going to just do it willy-nilly. And they would actually figure that out. They would know what the attorney's fees would be. They would know how much the land is worth and what they'd have to offer, probably a little bit more in order to get them to sell. Like, that would all be figured out. You can't just throw your hands up and be like, wow, like these people just don't want to give up their land. Like,
go
no
door
shit.
to door to each farmer, like, look, here's the idea. And if you could just go along with it, it'd be great. But we need to take your farmland so we can put the technology of the 1800s here today so people can get from Merced to Bakersfield in the same amount of time it would take on a car. I was like, yeah, I got no questions.
Right. Yeah, your cows can no longer go
You're going to have to sweeten the pot just a little bit.
He also was, he's been pretty anti-CBDC in his rhetoric.
There, we got a quibble. Jake, look up the Genius Act.
I'm going to get there.
Okay.
I can pull it up, actually.
What about it?
I'll look it up, Jake. I already have it queued up. I'm going to read something. Feel free to look it up, but I have something pulled up. So Trump basically came out and said that we will not have he signed an executive order that creates a working group on digital assets markets to support the responsible growth and use of digital assets, blockchain technology, and related technologies across all sectors of the economy. And he did say that he was against CBDC.
Mm-hmm.
However, you brought up the Genius Act.
Mm-hmm.
The Genius Act, so this is from the Daily Economy. In the increasingly complex debate surrounding central bank digital currencies, stablecoins, and the regulatory perimeter of the dollar system, few recent proposals are as quietly consequential as the Genius Act, formerly called the Guaranteed Electronic Notes Issuance Under Supervision Act, which proposed to grant federally chartered banks exclusive authority to issue stablecoins fully backed by dollar reserves. Having passed the Senate in May 2025, and I believe it passed the House recently and is going to be signed by Donald Trump, the bill now awaits House approval and Trump's signature. While the legislation was marked primarily as a prudential framework for ensuring the safety of privately issued stablecoins, it may inadvertently or by subtle design create an opening for the emergence of a de facto retail CBD system, one implemented not by the Federal Reserve, but by the commercial banks it closely supervises. And keep in mind, the Federal Reserve is not federal. So in the similar way,
federal as the Federal Express.
We may not have a CBDC system that is owned by the government, but we could just as easily have a CBD system that is owned by private banks. It doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah.
They're all in cahoots together already in the Federal Reserve,
right,
which was a horrible idea back in 1913 and has led to a lot of the problems, maybe all the problems that we have today in this country. And that's why I wanted to say about the big, beautiful bill. The biggest threat to our national security is not terrorism or China or evildoers, but the growing national debt, the destruction of our economy by people that are deliberately running this nation into the ground. They are ruining our country in a way that our enemies could only dream of.
Yeah.
You know, there's no amount of Chinese invasion that would actually, like, hurt our country as much as them devaluing our currency, driving up the debt, and putting all of us into slavery and eventually poverty.
Yeah.
Right now, we're already paying 50% of every dollar we make back to the government. Right, that number and our inflation levels are so high. It's 2.9% right now, above, on top of the huge inflation that we had previously. This stuff eventually leads to revolution because it makes people really desperate. The French Revolution, the Russian Revolution, the February Revolution, which was the first one they had right after World War I, not the Bolshevik Revolution, and even like the German Nazi Revolution, all were precipitated by failures in their economies.
Yes.
Right? This is the biggest threat to our country, not China, not Russia, not Hamas. And that's why I'm so against it. And there's just no forgiving pushing this thing through and just stretching us even more than we already were. And they make the argument of like, well, turning around a ship is so hard. You need like a long distance and a lot of time to turn it around. And their answer is, well, we're going to make the ship even longer and bigger. Then we can really turn it around. It's like, no, you make the ship longer, it's even harder to fucking turn around. It makes no sense. And that's why Thomas Massey has my respect. And I don't think he's a grandstander. I think he's just principled the way Ron Paul was and the way Rand Paul is.
Yeah.
Now. They see what I'm talking about right here, that this is the biggest problem that we're facing right now. And it's a house of cards that's propped up by all these evil fucking...
I am so sick of these warmongering pedophiles.
Thank you, Alex. So this brings me to a story that we should never forget.
Okay.
Not 9/11. Though we shouldn't forget that either.
No.
And it probably ties into this very, very closely. But do you remember when I was talking about the movie The Matrix and how everybody kind of identifies with that movie because we all feel like, again, like in the intro, like America is fucked up.
Yeah.
And we're being lied to. And the world that we're told is normal is not normal. And so we all feel like there's this like...
something's going on.
Yeah, there's this thing we're not seeing. And if you wake up to it and you start to pull back the covers, you'll start to see like the worst shit in the world is happening. And the elites that we know are controlling our lives seem to be able to get away with murder, right?
Literally. Yes.
They never have to pay the piper. And people are like the term, and this is actually another like positive about Trump. I feel like Trump represented a red pill for the entire globe.
Okay.
The red pill coming, that phrase coming from The Matrix. Like there was this moment before he was elected that everyone was getting red pilled and being like, you know what, something's fucking up and there's something going on, and this guy is talking about uncovering it and exposing it, and all of us kind of being able to like check in with like reality. The real world is going to be exposed to all of us, and we can actually like see what's going on. And so this Jeffrey Epstein stuff comes along. Meanwhile, before that, like, a lot of the things that Trump promised, like, started kind of we started questioning. Like RFK Jr. gets appointed to Health and Human Services, and we're like, sweet, that guy's going to fucking wreck shop in there.
Yeah.
And what's the first thing he does? He tells us that the biggest threat to health in America
is anti-Semitism.
Yes. And everyone that was like ready to have like the truth exposed is like, what?
Yeah.
And they don't buy it. Yeah. Because we've now been programmed, especially since COVID. Everyone's like, hold on. Like, what are you saying here? I don't believe this anymore. I know that the media was been lying to me forever. The media is who lost the last election, not Joe Biden. Everything's like in question now. And so now you hear that stuff and you're like, what the fuck? Then Tulsi Gabbard comes out and is no longer in support of getting rid of Section what is it, 7-0 whatever of the FISA ruling, so which would keep the FISA courts from being able to authorize spying on Americans, right?
Yeah.
And then you go to your taqueria and a robot uses facial recognition to deliver your food. I go to the Amazon store and walk out the door with my stuff and it knows who I am. Everyone's like registering this as like, we're being spied on all the time.
Right.
There's all those memes out there about like when you're on your phone or whatever and you're actually talking to your FBI agent who's listening, you know? Everyone's like turned on to this. Everyone's awake that this shit is happening.
Yeah, when we met Zach, we were having lunch with him and started talking about some questionable things. The first thing he did is just immediately grabbed everyone's phone and put it on the table next to us. And I was like, I can't believe we're here now. Like, this is what we have to do if we just want to have like a open conversation about something that's a little outside the norm.
Have you been following that thing recently? This is like the ultimate just kind of clickbait, like nothing story, but it really kind of got a lot of attention of the kiss cam incident.
Yes. I've fought a little bit. Did we talk about this on the last episode?
No.
Okay.
You know what it is, Jake?
Yeah, I saw it.
Yeah.
I've actually seen that, and then I saw, I think it was the Philadelphia Phillies had a baseball game, and they had two of their mascots up in the stands, and
were they doing the thing?
They imitated. Kind of.
Fuck yeah.
You got to have fun with things.
Well, why does anyone care?
Yeah.
Because here's an elite fucking asshole cheating on his wife and would normally get away with something like that. And people are like, no, fuck that guy.
Yeah.
There's an elite, and he's probably not that elite, but he's more elite than most of us. And everyone's like, no, fucking show that shit. Like, that guy needs to fucking pay.
Well, it's
someone needs to pay.
It's kind of a metaphor for the Jeffrey Epstein stuff because people
100%.
They get fully lost in the fact of these sensationalist kind of details of like a child sex ring and blah blah blah. Like, no, it's symbolic of something. The sex stuff, that's like 10% of what Jeffrey Epstein was actually doing. That's not the main thing,
dude.
But
even if it was, sorry to interrupt you, but even if it was just massages from 17-and-a-half-year-old girls, if that's all we were talking about, still illegal, but it's not sex. It was just massages,
right?
I still want to know who the fuck was there doing that, because those motherfuckers get away with everything.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't really matter what the actual acts were. I mean, it does, because the worse it gets, the worse those people are, and they deserve to pay even more.
Mm-hmm.
But to just tell us nothing happened, case closed, stop looking at this slave, go back to work, go back to your tax farm, fuck you.
Yeah,
no one is buying that because of this same kiss cam thing. They're like, no, these motherfuckers have to pay.
Yeah.
I don't care how slight it was. Show us the information. Prove it to us that it was nothing. No, there's just nothing to see here.
Yeah.
We have the information. You fucking plebes don't. So just go back to work. Keep working half the year to pay us for what we do, and we'll let you know when we want you to chime back in.
That's what's so interesting about the Epstein thing, because now, as we predicted on this, is remember I was saying like I was going out of my way to ask lefty kind of NPCs about like the Epstein thing, and their first question was the flight logs. Well, was Donald Trump on there?
Oh, of course.
And like now, Huffington Post, CNN, MSNBC, they're, that was like 2 months ago we were talking about that. I'm like, here we go. That's not all they're talking about, that like Donald Trump might be on the Epstein flight logs. Our answer was like, yeah, let me know. I don't give a shit. Like, I want to know everyone that was involved in this. Now, the Epstein thing is, people are hung up on the sex thing because it's salacious. It's
it's the worst thing in the world.
It's terrible.
It's not just sex.
But also, even you check out the Daryl Cooper stuff.
Yeah.
He was involved in laundering money for the most powerful people in the world, running arms deals. They tied him into Iran-Contra affair, all this other stuff. But what it is it's like people aren't, because you could think like, why are you so obsessed with Jeffrey Epstein? I'm like, because this is the perfect example of all the shit that all of us, I don't care if you're on the left or the right, are sick of hearing about and never see any consequence ever come to fruition. And
never.
People are fucking pissed. You're taking half their income. You increase the surveillance state. We're going to war. We have legal wars all over the place. No one's ever held to account. You had Donald Rumsfeld like, hey, mistakes were made. Yeah, you killed 2 million people, innocent civilians.
Yeah.
And like that's
Anthony Fauci. Well, we just kind of made that stuff up on the spot.
yeah. And people go like, this is symbolic of all these things that we're frustrated about. Like that's why.
Right. It's why when the United Healthcare CEO was assassinated by the most handsome man in America, everyone was kind of like, sweet. You know, even though we were against that, and I am against,
Brad Pitt murdered a CEO.
Grandpa, he is not the handsomest man in the world anymore. But people were like amped on that.
Yeah.
Because that was someone having to pay some consequence.
It's almost like a pressure release valve. It's just like.
Well, and look at like what happened in the French Revolution, right? When this shit went down, and this is important because I actually know what's up with the Epstein thing. Mm-hmm. I'll tell you everything. I know what happened.
Crack the code.
I did. People were fed up in France because of the horrible conditions that their economy got into, and they were like, yeah, fucking off with their heads. It wasn't really about freedom and liberty. Even the people that did the head offing got their heads offed also. Like, it was just this vindictive kind of punishment to the elites, which is dangerous, right? It's not really what we want. So here's what's up with Epstein.
Okay.
Actually, Jake, do you have some music? I got to take a quick break.
Yeah, sure.
Pretty little baby, pretty little baby, pretty little baby. You say that maybe you'll be thinking of me and try to love me, pretty little baby. I'm hoping that you do. You can ask the flowers. I sit for hours telling all the bluebirds, the bill and coo birds, pretty little baby, I'm so in love with you. Now is just the time while both of us are young. Puppy love must have its day. Don't you know it's much more fun to love while the heart is young and gay? Meet me at the car hop or at the pop shop. Meet me in the moonlight or in the daylight. Pretty little baby, I'm so in love with you.
Okay, so this is what I think.
By the way, when you and Zach were arguing and you were telling him not to get mayonnaise on his sandwich.
We weren't arguing.
Well, I mean, you were sparring, having a friendly debate. And he was talking about time restrictive eating. He looked at you and goes, 80-20, bro. And you asked him if that was his body fat percentage. It was one of the funniest things I've ever heard. I told Jake the story yesterday. I was like, dude, I was crying. It was so funny.
I hope you're listening.
Even he was looking at you going like, that was pretty good, dude.
I hope you're listening, Zach.
Shout out, Zach. Love you, buddy.
All right, so this is what I think is going on.
Okay.
As our peer, Alex Jones, likes to harp on about, the elites that are in control of us are warmongering pedophiles.
Yes.
And Alex Jones is out there, but as we've discussed many times, like a lot of the shit that he says, like most of the 90% of what he says ends up being accurate. Sandy Hook was probably what Alex Jones said it was. And I've heard people like Charlie Robinson go into detail on it. And my cousin said she knows people that live in Sandy Hook. And when they saw those people on the media, they're like, we don't know who those people are. Mm-hmm. And we've showed the video before of Robbie, whatever his name is, one of the fathers of one of the victims. Before he goes on...
It's the most bizarre video I've ever seen.
It's
creepy.
It's really creepy.
It's hard to watch.
It is. Because before he goes up to the mic to talk about losing his kid, he's laughing and joking around. And then he does this... And he puts on this sad face and he talks about how sad he is. It's just one of the creepiest things you ever saw.
Yeah.
The amount of derangement and that's not even the right word, deviant behavior that takes place with the political elites that rule over us is fucking staggering.
Yeah.
Every time you hear someone bring up a new story, you're like, what the fuck? Like when George Santos was on Tucker Carlson and talking about all the shit that they do in the fucking Capitol building in the basement, people having sex and, doing weird shit.
Yeah.
All the stuff that Daryl Cooper brought up on his 5-hour-long Epstein podcast about the most deviant behavior you can even imagine. Shit that just makes your stomach turn. What I think is that Alex Jones is right, and that the entire system is so deranged and corrupt and evil that the Epstein stuff, if it were to come out, would pop a hole in this like artificially inflated balloon that would be so devastating that the whole system would come crashing down. And I was talking to you earlier in the week about my theory, or it's not a theory, but just my puzzlement with, here's this blackmail scheme where someone like Jeffrey Epstein, who has close connections with multiple different intelligence organizations, is using these,
including what was told to Alex Acosta, the special prosecutor in Florida, that was going like, why is this guy getting a slap on the wrist for one of the worst things that we can all imagine? He goes, he belongs to an intelligence, and he refused to give interviews after that.
And he claims he didn't say that.
Yeah.
But there's evidence that he did. But it was behind closed doors, but that was what was reported. And I believe that that's 100% true. I mean, his father-in-law was
Robert Maxwell,
who was obviously connected to intelligence.
Given the state's funeral. Yeah, we've gone through
this. Yeah. And if you need more information, listen to the Tucker interview with Daryl Cooper, or actually listen to Martyr Made podcast in the 5 hours that he does on the.
Here's what you can also do is because there is a coordinated propaganda campaign against people like, well, now Tucker Carlson, but Daryl Cooper, Charlie Robinson, all the people, Alex Jones, the people that bring this stuff up. But this is shockingly easy to do. Take all the things that he is saying, right? Whatever scrap of detail they're talking about, like Jeffrey Epstein owned the largest penthouse in Manhattan, the most coveted real estate, like ostensibly in the entire world. I think it's worth like $90 million. And that was given to him by Les Wexner, okay, who is a outspoken and very vocal Zionist and with connections to Israel. Just take that. You can independently verify everything these people are saying, because you can go like, Daryl Cooper's nuts, he shouldn't be saying these things, like whatever. But just take every sentence that he says, independently verify that.
Or try to disprove it.
Look up Robert Maxwell in his funeral at the Mount of Olives. He's given a full Israeli rock star, politically
the highest honor that you can get posthumously.
Right, with prime ministers, ex-prime ministers in attendance, IDF in attendance. Like, this is all stuff that you can look like. This is all kind of public
on
knowledge.
Record saying he did more for the state of Israel than any man ever. Like, anyways, if this is true, and that all of these blackmail schemes were being used to control people in places of power, what happens when one of those things actually gets used? Someone doesn't do what you say, and then they lay out the video of you with an underage girl or boy. The whole thing, then, the entire operation is done. They can only use it once.
I don't know if I'm fully with you on this one yet.
I could be wrong about that, but it just seems like, okay, here's so-and-so, here's Bill Clinton in Jeffrey Epstein's island with this young girl. Okay, now we know that happened. Now we know it's true. Then every other person that's been to Jeffrey Epstein's island, it's undeniable that they were also doing the same thing. It's not undeniable, but the burden of proof is on them to say, no, I wasn't there. Here's the proof that I wasn't. Every single person that we all know were on the flight
You
logs.
can pull an Alan Dershowitz, like, yeah, but
It was
I
just
never
a
took my
massage.
underwear off.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, fine.
That's normal
Okay.
behavior.
Right, but that's still,
I can explain that one to my wife.
yeah, it's still damning, right? So they're all going to have to come clean and say, either I wasn't there or, come up with some excuse. All of the people that were in those binders that were given to the conservative influencers, the information we already had, like now we know, like there's meat on the bone. Like this thing is real. So the whole thing can no longer be used for blackmail because it's all out in the open.
Yeah.
Right? And what I think is actually going on is that the elites in our country are so tied up in this awful behavior, not just with Jeffrey Epstein, but far beyond that. They're all doing the worst shit in the world. They're the worst people in the world. And our whole society is built on what the worst people in the world tell us to do through their laws and things. That if it actually comes out, so when COVID happened, we get this from Jamie O'Brien. They sat Donald Trump down and they said, look, we're having this overnight repo crisis and the whole economy is going to crash. Unless we do this COVID thing, which gives us a blank check to print $7 trillion, the whole economy is going to come crashing down and it's going to be on your watch and you're going to go down as the worst president in history. So you need to switch gears and now go full on COVID warrior at this point.
Right.
And Donald Trump said, okie dokie.
Yeah.
And then we had the fucking worst 4 years in American history. The same thing is happening now. And they're saying, look, if this shit comes out, the entire system will collapse. And we cannot let that happen because it's way deeper than anything that anyone has ever, except for Alex Jones, anyone has ever even conceived of. And if this comes out, the fucking gig is up. We're going to have a revolution. We're going to have a collapse of the government. Every single person in government is guilty of something. The whole thing's going to come crashing down, and we can't let that happen. So either A, we kill you, or B, we do COVID-2, the electric boogaloo, but way worse this time. We're going to come up with something that's even worse.
Yeah.
That's going to be on your hands. Or you shut this shit down and you tell people there's nothing to see here. And Trump chose that. It's the only thing that I can think of that explains this, because everyone on his team was all about getting at the bottom of Jeffrey Epstein. Now that they're in power, they've been sat down and said, look, do you want to preside over the failure of America? Or do you want us to kill you? Or do you want us to, put some like crazy disease again on your plate, and that'll be your legacy? You're the disease president. And they all were just like, we have no choice. Fuck it. There's nothing to see here.
You son of a bitch. You brought me around. What do you think of that, Jake?
I don't know. Yeah, half the time when you go into these kind of things, the tiresome, how tired you are of all of it, and just the endless, like.
You're looking at porn, are you?
No, I'm looking. I've got Daryl Cooper's stuff up. I've got some Alex Jones's track record stuff up, but with all of the Epstein thing,
Ooh, dude.
At a certain point, we're being told that they can't release it because it'll destroy everything. Right? You got your hands on the button. You don't know what it's going to do.
But they haven't come out and said that. They could say, you know what, we can't release it because it'll destroy everything. And people would at least go like, well, that's at least you're being honest. Like
But they're also admitting that there's something there.
Right.
Right. So they have to come out and say like there's
which they all did previously 20 minutes ago.
Yeah, I mean, has anybody actually said that, or is that just?
I have seen some people say that. Like I can totally see why they wouldn't release it. It would just unweave the entire fabric, of the entire country, hence the entire world.
Like we can tell there's a piece missing from the fucking puzzle, and that kind of looks like it might be shaped the same way as the missing piece. That information about how the reason it's not coming out is because everybody's going to lose all like confidence in the underpinnings of the structure that is our society and government. And where are you at with that?
That's exactly what's happening.
I am not the right person to ask because I think that would be awesome.
I do too. And I think everyone would rather have that.
Yeah.
I think every American would rather have a corrupt, just in like diseased system just taken down. Like you have to amputate an arm sometimes. Like it's just, you're too infected. You have gangrene. It has to come off. I think everyone would rather have the whole thing come crashing down than to continue to be, if they knew that the alternative was to be ruled by the worst evil people in the world. It's not just, I think a lot of conservatives that we know get caught up thinking like, no, we just need to go back to the Constitution. We just need to kind of roll things back. We need to get back to family values and whatnot. And it's like, I totally agree with that, but that's not the problem. The problem is so much worse than that. Like getting to there is impossible when the people that are ruling over you have paintings on their wall of children being tortured and they think it's just kind of, you know, normal.
Yeah.
Like it's the worst shit in the world that's festering in your arm. Like you have to cut deep. I don't know. That's where I say maybe not everyone thinks that way, but I think that it, like Jake said, like let's fucking go. Like tear it down. We cannot be ruled by Satan.
Right.
One other thing there is, I'm not sure to what extent this would impact other countries besides our own, right? It's not like we could basically find ourselves in a situation where both Republican and Democrat sides of the whole Senate and Congress and the whole thing has too many holes in it because of, you know, all these folks getting trotted out as kind of creepy weirdos that do terrible shit. And are we just shooting our own government into Swiss cheese, or would other countries be involved here? Would this seriously
I think part of the belief is that America being the world's superpower is that if we began to crumble as an empire, it would create a vacuum and something else would have to take our place. In other words, that's Russia or China or Iran or whatever it is, or some kind of alliance.
I think it would be naive to think that the rest of the world doesn't have these same problems.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I think that there are countries probably, I'll tell you what, the Taliban doesn't have this problem. The Taliban banned raping kids. And
they're very progressive, aren't they?
You know, like they don't let women go to school, but they don't allow you to rape kids either. So they're not going to have this problem.
I guess
but
creating that vacuum in the United States' leadership or government because of something like this suddenly seems like it could be, you know, problematic. But you know what?
I agree.
I mean,
I don't think it'll be.
We got more guns than everybody else in the world over here, so if they want to come over here and take our shit, they can try, I guess.
Yeah, no, there's no chance anyone. A bigger threat would be, you know, powers at home,
Canada
taking over. You know, fucking
brr, Canada.
I know you had some stuff to get to. Does it tie into this?
Well, kind of.
I have some good news for everybody.
Okay, well, kind of a metaphor that I thought about. It'd be like this, to bring it down on a smaller scale. You're married with kids, which we are.
Yes.
And you are having an affair, which we aren't.
No.
And your son starts to notice this strange woman coming in and out of your house, you know, and says something to your wife. And then you get busted for the affair. And so you have to sit down with your wife and go like, look, I'm sorry. Like I messed up, but we have to keep this whole thing under wraps. Otherwise, this whole thing falls apart.
Which is a fair argument for not letting the whole thing fall apart.
Yes.
Because I think that happens a lot in marriages, right? But if you replace affair with you raping kids, like, no.
But
I'm sorry, but then I don't want this whole thing.
We also have the additional element of my son being old enough to understand, like, probably what was going on was to go like, no, what you thought you were perceiving through your own ears and eyes, that wasn't a thing.
But it's
like, and he goes like, well, I know they're lying to me, but maybe they're lying to me to just keep this whole thing together somehow.
But you can't continue a marriage. You can forgive someone for cheating. It happens. But you can't forgive someone for doing the worst thing that anyone can think of.
Very true.
Especially if they're going to continue doing it, which obviously they are. No, they haven't come out and said, all right, we're done. No more raping. Like, you can't just keep that going.
Yeah.
That marriage is done once that comes out. And it should come out because living with a monster like that is not acceptable. That guy's not good to his wife. That guy who's okay with hurting the most innocent people in the world is not a good father or good to his wife. That guy has to go.
Yeah.
There are reasons for divorce that are good, and that is top of my list. That and leaving the toilet seat up. Like, what kind of an animal are you?
Dude, okay, so leaving the toilet seat up is considered bad. Why?
Bad manners.
Why?
Because then the lady has to touch the toilet with her hands instead of just
I've come around on this.
But do they ever leave the toilet seat up for us?
I used to be my argument.
No, they would not. They don't. The whole point of it is so that the woman never has to actually touch with her hands the toilet.
Correct.
So
that's right. I will make this caveat though, that it looks nicer with the seat down.
This is true. Yeah.
It just looks more pleasant. Like, I'm looking at your toilet right now. It's like, that's a good looking toilet.
Yeah, it's kind of a bare minimum for housekeeping.
Yeah.
My wife tends to leave cabinets open when she's looking for something. I'm like, this is like bare minimum shit. Can you close the cabinet when you're done?
She's like, yeah. Will you open it for me though? When you leave? Fair enough.
So we spent a lot of time talking about skeptic brain. Go ahead.
Let me give my good news before the podcast is done. No. You go. I didn't want to interrupt you. I just didn't want you to do like a really good ending.
You told me you had some good news.
I have some good news. I just didn't want you to like lead up to some like banger ending where I have to hit the end record button.
Oh, no worries.
For the music to come in with like, just, if you have that, save it till I'm done.
So we talk about the skeptic brain, pattern recognition, mass formation psychosis, mimetic behavior, anti-mimetic behavior, internal monologues, internal dialogues. And
is there a trialogue, or is every conversation a dialogue?
Trialogue would be the guy Jake referred to in the median. Multiple conversations.
The internal trialogue.
It was never wearing a shirt for some reason. And then we have Shinfo.
Because he's always got abs. Those guys are shredded. What is that? What is it about people that do heroin and they're just like shredded all the time?
Perfectly tan, great body.
They just don't eat? Or...
I'm saying, dude, there's an argument to be made. Like, are we the ones missing out?
Apparently. Oh, you do testosterone? No, I do heroin.
Heroin. Burning calories, talking constantly. Brain is operating at such a high RPM that you can't even understand. So, Jake, you and I started to have this conversation. This kind of got my wheels going, but like we've had this before, and I had this with a friend after the last episode who came over and wanted to discuss a variety of things. But we got into like
what?
Well, we're going to talk about it. Good. Like, what is truth? Like, what do we know to be truth? What are we going to lay down on our deathbed saying, like, I 100% know this to be true? It's shockingly little. Go ahead.
No, I'm engaged here because this is a topic that I'm pretty familiar with. All this stuff, you know, I brought up reification in the last,
great,
which I don't know if that's a word that.
Did you make that word up?
I did.
It's good.
I did not.
Darn.
It's like Shinfo,
but you know,
grudge.
A lot of times in conversations about truth and what you know is true and critical thinking, the term reification comes up, and I find that a lot of people haven't heard it before. I mean, I hadn't heard it before at some point, but when I started looking into crazy conspiracy theories, that one came up because it's very closely tethered to what are those things called? The logical fallacies, right? Mm-hmm. I don't know how many logical fallacies there are, but a logical fallacy for those.
There's 7 officially.
No, there's
more than that.
20.
Yeah. There's a bunch. What's a logical fallacy? It's basically you're having a discussion with somebody about a topic, and they might come to the table with a claim that could be for or against said topic, whatever it is. But you start to look for how it lines up with a possible list of logical fallacies that you can basically say, okay, because what you're bringing to the table exactly matches this particular fallacy, I'm going to discard your sentiment about said topic entirely because there's no way it can hold up to scrutiny. It's based on a fallacy. Cool. Reification, as I mentioned last week, there's got to be a filter you pass information through before it becomes something you know. What do you know when you die? Like, what can you say 100% actually is real and is true? You're like, well, I existed at one point. I know that because, I don't know, I looked in the mirror. I was looking at myself in the mirror. I don't know. But short of that, what else do we know is for real?
Even that, I think you could debate. That
getting too crazy.
We're getting into simulation theory.
Yeah.
Right.
But before we jump off that cliff, the process of taking information that you hear or see or whatever, touch, I don't know, and graduating it to something that you feel like you absolutely know and are 100% confident of, that is the process of reification. And if things are not scrutinized in any fashion and they just get reified, you're just like, I believe anything and everything everybody says. And
exactly what I want to talk about.
Like the higher you turn up your security, the more inconvenient things get. You got one lock on your front door of your house, put a key in, turn it, you're in. You want more security? You're going to be sitting there with a lot more keys, a lot longer doing stuff. And people that have a really good awareness here, they're going to take everything you say and scrutinize it, and they're going to be on the lookout for every little thing. I mean,
we're talking about
that's an annoying person, right? That's an annoying person. Yes, you can be skeptical and not be like annoying. Where it's like, how do you know Matt's lying? Well, his lips are moving. You know, it's like, no. But
is that what your friend told you the other day when he came over?
The rough outline of it.
Okay. Well, anyways. Interested to see where you're going with this.
But we're talking about like the skeptic brain, and most of us hopefully employ the skeptic brain to some degree, but there are many of us, and this took me a long time to realize, and COVID was like such a great example of this, is there are like many people around us that do not employ the skeptic brain whatsoever. I think these people are more susceptible to fall prey to things like mass formation psychosis. Do you remember the rough outline of that?
Do those people are they also not skeptical of the things that you tell them or that Alex Jones says?
Yes.
Because I just imagined like a monk who is like,
right.
Anything you tell them, they're like, okay, well, I can get on with that. And then Alex Jones says something like, yeah, okay, I can get on with that. No. And then Rachel Maddow says something like, okay, I can get along with that.
No, because we get into what's Tom Woods call it, the 3x5 card of acceptable opinion, the narrative. So everything, okay, I'll put my own cards on the table. Everything goes through this skeptic filter in my brain, right? I try to avoid the consensus filter the best I can. So anything...
But you apply it across the board.
Everywhere. Constantly.
But people that don't have that, they only accept things. They have a skeptic brain for things that they don't agree with.
Things that go against the acceptable narrative.
Right.
Which are two different things.
Right. So
making sense?
It is.
Yeah.
Because what you're talking about is you have something that's much more pure or utilitarian. Like you have a tool like a speed square and you use it to find angles. This person doesn't have that tool. They have a 3x5 card of acceptable opinion.
Yes, and like anything, it exists in degrees. This exists on a spectrum, right? So we have people that I tend to just question everything I have since I was a kid. I don't know. Maybe it's genetic. Maybe it's some roll of the dice. It might have been my parents, whatever. I'm like, anything I'm being told, like I'm going to need some kind of self-verification process, what we would call to walk out the front door, right? To I need to know if this is true or not. And I'm not going to believe anything that anyone tells me without kind of seeing with my own ears and eyes something that verifies what I'm being told, right?
You know who's really good at that, in my opinion, and it annoys me sometimes, is Joe Rogan. He will have, one day he'll have Dave Smith on his podcast, and he'll try on the clothes of a anarchist. And he's like, yeah, totally, 100%. Yeah, totally see it. And then the very next day, Bernie Sanders, and he puts on the socialist robe, and he's like, yep, totally. We need to do that. Like, he is, maybe it's the opposite. He's not skeptical of everything. He actually, like, accepts everything. And then he runs the program in his head a little bit later to kind of figure out what he is. But he's open to every idea that's brought to him, which is kind of admirable. It's almost the opposite of the contrarian, who anyone that comes in, they just push back on. He does the opposite. He just brings it in.
He facilitates the conversation.
Totally different than
the ideas across.
Yeah, totally different from the person who doesn't have the skeptic brain and accepts the 305 card of allowable opinion.
Right. So we can call it propaganda. We can call it lies, half truths, misinformation. But let's just call it information for conversation's sake. So all we do as human beings, we just take in information, right, from all of it, any given source. And depending on the way that your brain works and at the level that you employ the skeptic brain, we know people that just take in everything and say, yep, that's what the guy on the TV said. 6 feet apart from now on for the next 2 years. Yeah, I'm good with that. We have some people that take in this information and go like, that doesn't make sense, but I kind of want to go along to get along, and I need to signal to the rest of the tribe, that I too am a superstitious native, you know what I mean, and gonna go along with everything. We have some people, the complete nihilistic approach of like, everything's bullshit, everyone's out to get me. They're clearly controlling the weather from Halcyon Ridge or like whatever it is. And we know this because of the new Mountain Dew flavor that comes out, which is the predictive programming that tells us this. So we have like this line of like where you are on that spectrum. And like I was saying before, that the people that I thought were of slightly sound mind and, had a fair amount of critical thinking going on in their brain during COVID. And I was just like, whoa. Like, I was so surprised, like straight mass formation psychosis, which, by the way, if you look up mass formation psychosis, multiple mainstream media outlets will tell you that it doesn't exist. It's not a thing at all.
I've heard that.
Yeah, which is hilarious. So depending on like what level you have fired up that skeptic brain and where you land on this, we talked about like anti-mimetic spectrum. This determines how you process and perceive all this information. So you might employ like a tiny bit of, so here'd be like examples, like you might be the guy all the way on one side. I don't want to say right or left because those are loaded terms. You accept all of your information and you vomit it back out, or
it's present equally on both sides.
Yeah, right. It doesn't move around in your brain at all. You might have like a tiny bit of it, to say like, okay, I believe everything I'm being told, and then through some pattern recognition and hindsight, admit that I was wrong, and maybe we need to declare
pandemic amnesty.
An amnesty, Emily Oster. You might be a guy that like totally doubles down on everything, say like, okay, I got everything wrong, but if I hadn't, I would have been right.
Sam Harris.
Sam Harris, and here's my take on the next thing. we don't pay attention to those people whatsoever. I'd much rather hear from Emily Oster than Sam Harris. I'm like, okay, at least you admit that you're a dimwit and you fell for this entire thing. So at the far end of it, and like wherever you are on the spectrum, it just depends on how your brain works. I'm trying to be charitable here. Good luck with all your endeavors. I wish all of you happiness. And but I say at the end of the day, at least for some of us, we subject ourselves to whatever purveyors of information that we choose to believe it on its face, believe it with some questions, immediately question it with every detail, or question everything all the time, which happens to be the camp I fall in. I think you fall into that camp. Jake?
I just think it's all lies at the beginning.
I've like 2 degrees past us.
I've got a default setting of calling bullshit on everything until like a certain point, and then I'm like, okay, that's reached a threshold that I think I can graduate this to something that I think might be true.
Right.
But I'm too far one direction. I'll be the first to admit it. But
there's some maturity there. Like you realize that there's a limit.
Sure. Yeah. But, a lot of these institutions, I'll just call it mainstream media, they set themselves up in a place. I mean, I think it's their unstated goal is to be the arbiter of truth. And that if you hear it from us, you can believe it. Right. That's kind of how, and again, they don't advertise themselves as such, but that's kind of what they're after.
They do kind of, and Jacinda Ardern or Jacinda Ardern, whatever her name is, was she of Australia, New Zealand? What do they have? Prime Minister, President, whatever she is. Right. She's talking about COVID. Like, if you hear it from us, you know that it's true. If it's not from us, it's not true. I was like, that's the most dystopic thing.
All of the news shows slogans are something like truth, facts, unbiased, like
fair and balanced.
Yeah. You can trust us.
I mean,
most trustworthy name in news.
And that's the point at which I immediately start to discard all of their information. I'm just going to assume that if you're trying so hard to convince me that anything that leaves your mouth is a truth, then I'm going to walk away from that.
Meanwhile, our slogan is more like, maybe we're right. Maybe not. You decide.
Run this through your filter if you have one.
Okay, but Jake, I want to break down what you're saying there for a second, because think about it, like how do you process information? I was thinking about like how I process information is what I do, and I thought we did when we broke down the Jeffrey Epstein thing, is basically I take things in and I immediately make a list in my head. I'm like, okay, here's the information that is being fed to me, right? Now I pay attention to the track record, I pay attention to pattern recognition, and I go like, okay, you guys have been wrong about every war, about the economy, about every domestic issue, but I'm still going to listen because I want to know what I'm supposed to be being told, if that makes sense. And I make a list in my head of just going through, like, okay, here's this fact. Just the same way that you look at Daryl Cooper, like just take each sentence and verify it for yourself and make a decision whether you think that he's telling the truth or not. So same thing when we did like the Jeffrey Epstein thing. It's like, let's just take him dying, we'll say. It's like, okay, well, you just break it down in your list and you start making this, you break it down in your head, you start making this list. Like, okay, he was on suicide watch. We know that. He was not supposed to have sheets. He was supposed to have a cellmate. Didn't have that. Guards fell asleep. Okay. Cameras, all the cameras broke. And eventually, as we had said, like each one of these things is pretty plausible, but you put them all together in your head, you're like, walk out your front door and you go like, no.
I know this is clunky, but I'm just going to play this.
Just real quick, the only people that are putting a list of that comedy of errors that surrounds the Epstein situation together are comedians.
Yeah.
Like dorks on podcasts. Like you're not.
Are we the dorks or the comedians?
Yes.
Check this out.
Wait,
this is Jeffrey Epstein's attorney.
9 days before he died, we planned a whole strategy to fight the case. He was in good spirits, and I was in touch with some of the local lawyers who had been visiting him in between. They had asked me to take over a bail hearing that he had coming up. And I was hesitant to do that because I didn't like the record they had made earlier. But that Friday, he died on a Saturday. The Friday before, the lawyers tell me he was giving out instructions based on the strategy we had worked out. And he had also asked me to do another task for him that was only forward-looking. So the idea that a couple of days later he would have killed himself doesn't make sense. But more importantly, Michael Baden, who I believe to be the foremost medical examiner in the world, who was New York City medical examiner, went through the medical examination after his death with the assistant New York medical examiner. Dr. Baden has said that in all of the tens of thousands of autopsies and medical examinations he's done, he has never seen injuries like this consistent with a suicide. Secondly, he said the medical examiner who went through the examination with him, the city's person, said that she found it inconclusive. She couldn't come to any conclusion about cause of death. But 4 days later, they called it a suicide without any additional information. The size and layout of the cell also doesn't make suicide likely based on a couple of calls I get afterwards from other inmates. Doesn't make suicide likely. But I don't have a theory as to who killed him. I don't have a conspiracy theory. Others do. And usually in this situation, if someone were killing him to make a name for himself because he was a sexual offender, that sort of thing, then that person would generally want to take credit for it. That hasn't happened here. So I don't know the full answer, but my belief is that he did not commit suicide.
So that's a voice of coming out of a speaker by a man on a screen, and as previously stated, I am configured to automatically discard what he says. But of course, this guy is saying something that matches my bias on this topic. So now I don't know what to do. Do I believe this guy?
Well, what you do is you go, oh, is this really his lawyer? Like, oh, okay. What did this come from? Oh, okay. You know, has anyone pushed back on it? Because I get questions sometimes. I think my mom has asked me before, like, how do you verify things to make sure they're true? It's like, well, you just dildo it. And whatever comes up, you see who's saying that it's true and who's saying it's false. And you kind of run that through your filter and you go, is this credible? Like, what is their track record?
Right.
I guess it takes some practice because you kind of, if you were brand new to the internet and brand new, you know, an alien from outer space, like you wouldn't know what was what, but it takes practice. You can kind of start to, has he been sued for saying this? Is there anyone pushing back on it that actually would have a reason to be honest about it? Like you develop these kind of systems in your mind to kind of get yourself to that point where you can either dismiss it or accept it.
Well, I also tend to, I guess one of the points I was trying to drive at is you take in all this information, using my finger quotes there, and you just list it out in your mind. And you go like, okay, at the end of the day, going back to on my deathbed, what am I going to be able to say that I know 100% to be true? It's almost nothing. Mm-hmm. I got to say, and I'd aggregate everything I'm being told, every narrative, every propaganda, every news story, whatever it is, and I have to put it all together and basically make a determination myself to go like, well, at the end of the day, I got to walk out my front door and make a decision about what I think makes the most sense. What's the most plausible explanation from this? And I was talking to Jake about this yesterday, and the first thing that popped in my mind, I don't know why, but I said like, here's an example. I'm being told a guy in Chicago got attacked by MAGA supporters. It's possible. Sure. How do we know they're MAGA supporters? They're wearing MAGA hats. I'm like, okay. And they were screaming, "This is MAGA country," as they attacked him. I'm like, a little on the nose, but possible. You know what I mean? Who did they attack? It was like a semi-famous actor. I'm like, okay, that's getting a little, that's getting... definitely going to be in the news tomorrow. And he was gay and black. Okay. All right. We're hitting all the right spots here. And they put a noose around his neck and poured bleach on him while screaming, "This is MAGA country." And you go like, okay, I just want to, here's the list in my head of what you are telling me is this semi-famous black gay actor goes out at 2 a.m. in the middle of winter in Chicago because he wants a Subway sandwich. And at the same time, there's two guys in MAGA hats in deep blue Chicago, which just stood out like a sore fucking thumb. Finally found...
carrying a bottle of bleach and
armed with a noose and bleach, which we know because he's still wearing the noose when the cops got there. And they found their victim and hatched their evil plan. That's what you're telling me. I'm like, okay, I listen all those things up. I'm like, first thing's possible. Second thing, like a little less possible. Like number three, by the time you're at like 3 or 4, you're like, I'm 60 seconds into hearing this, flipping on the radio in my track. I'm like, no, that didn't happen. Like, absolutely not. Now, there are other people that, okay, I believe it because the voice on the speakers, Jake says, is telling me it, but I got a lot of questions. Like, we're going to have to kind of follow this. And then we also have people that still to this day think that actually happened because it's the first thing they heard. And they don't employ the skeptic brain whatsoever. They're like, that's the thing on the speaker. That's what they said. That's clearly what happened. Those people are out there around us. And there's a lot more of them than you think, which should be terrifying.
So how many folks do you think heard that story and it clicked with their like cognitive biases and they were like, this is real because this lines up with...
Well, I'm going to go with 47.
Total people or percent?
Total people.
That was a solid 46.
No, more than that, dude. I think that we are led to believe more people believed it because it just...
It fulfilled the narrative that was already in their head.
It hits the narrative.
They wanted it to be true.
It's like gasoline, and they just put it near the fire of media, and just like everyone's like, "Oh my god, this happened!" But most people, I think, when they hear that, they go, "Really?"
We have these like pseudo.
Who were the guys? Well, they were these Nigerian brothers. Wait, there's the MAGA supporters that said this is MAGA country that were carrying around a noose were Nigerian.
And his personal trainers.
That's right. And they knew him.
I have no questions. This made me think about, because I know a lot of people around me that consider themselves to be critical thinkers or skeptic brains. And they're like, well, dude, I read the New York Times and the Washington Post, and then I run everything through Snopes just for verification. You're like, uh-huh. So this gets us into the floods in Texas.
Okay.
Okay. Because we were talking about this earlier.
I'm glad we're going there.
Were catastrophic, which is not to say like whether you believe this story on its face or not, but I'm always curious from individual to individual, like what questions pop up from different people. Because as soon as I saw this, like, I got a lot of questions, like right off the bat. I'm not denying that it happened or anything like that, or the floods were like some false flag attack or anything like that. But to go back to my road rage story, can we all agree? We're going to go down a rabbit hole here. Can we all agree that like people are fucked up? There's some mental illness going on in our society that is very noticeable and palpable. I feel like it's on an increase, which has been very disturbing to me.
100%. It kind of relates to my Matrix analogy. Like everyone is on edge. Everyone knows things are not what they seem. And everyone has some problem with it that they can't quite put their finger on, but they know that things aren't how they should be.
I ran into a guy that lives around the corner, this older guy named Paul. He was in Vietnam, and I love talking to him. He's a super rad dude. But I was telling him about that, and he said that. He goes, just there's something wrong with people. Like everywhere you go, it's just everyone's like lost their mind. Like, they're just going crazy. Because I was talking about like I feel like I've seen like more road rage in the last couple of years than I have my entire life. And he agreed. He goes, yeah, me too. It's you have been distilled down to the primal level where you're ramming each other with your cars in a Home Depot parking lot. Like that's not a good place to be.
The most disturbing thing about that story is not that they were doing something violent out in public where other people could see it and maybe be affected by it. To me, the most disturbing thing is they were like, fuck my car. What's most important is that I get out this rage.
Yeah.
I'm going to destroy my vehicle in order to express
everyone else's vehicles in the area.
My rage over something that was probably very easy for a normal, well-adjusted person to dismiss.
Yeah.
And just, go about their day. But they felt like, I'm going to fuck up one of the most valuable things that I own.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very disturbed person.
My 95 Chevy Suburban.
Anyone that owns a 95 Chevy Suburban, it's probably the most valuable thing they own.
Yes, it is. Point taken. So now we're talking about like cloud seeding, floods in Texas. What's wrong with everybody? Road rage. And we get into the Rainmaker Technology Corporation. Because the first question that pops up, I'm like, because we happen to be following this cloud seeding stuff. Also, the artist formerly known as chemtrails. Is first thing I asked was like, weren't they just cloud seeding there like a couple days before those floods? Mm-hmm. And which gets us into what we're talking about that we were talking about earlier this week is go like, I'm not saying I have cracked the case on this or I have some information that people don't have, right. Or I'm not even suggesting that the Rainmaker Corporation caused these floods by spraying silver iodide into the clouds. All I'm saying is, shouldn't it at least be part of the conversation?
Have you ever?
You're saying like we don't know how this happened. All we know is it's not that one thing. It's not that one thing. I'm like, I kind of think it could be, at least.
Well, it is a corporation that in a relatively free market is investing money in order to create something.
Mm-hmm.
That thing being rain.
Mm-hmm.
So if they invested a bunch of money into this business
Like
to make
Peter
rain,
Thiel, for example.
yes, and they
She
couldn't
didn't invest in Rainmaker.
and let's say they made this investment and then the business that they invested in couldn't make rain, that would be considered a failure, right?
Right.
And the business would go under. So their business is making rain. If they make rain, then the business succeeds.
Yes.
Have you ever read any books about the Dust Bowl?
I have.
They were trying to make rain back then,
Yes.
right? And largely,
The Army Corps engineers were trying to make rain.
there were a lot of kind of
early
like
1900s.
snake oil salesmen going around saying that they could make rain, and they failed a lot, like because they didn't solve the Dust Bowl. But this is not a new thing. They've been after this for a while.
I love that people say, like, I'm a free thinker. I check Snopes. Remember, so Snopes, we did this before, but who was busted in 2021 for plagiarism and retracted over 60 articles or fact checks, as we call them. Do you remember the history of David Mickelson in Snopes? He embezzled like somewhere just over $98,000 from the company and then spent a lot of that money on prostitutes or fact check, high-end escorts. For which his wife left him, and now him and this prostitute run Snopes.
Oh, that's right.
Your
Yes,
fact
I do
checks are
remember
coming from. Okay, Snopes claim, because you know I love to fact check.
Oh, yes.
Rainmaker Technology Corporation's cloud seeding caused massive, deadly floods in Texas on July 4th, 2025. Fact check.
They stopped seeding 2 days before the flood.
False. Rainmaker did carry out a cloud seeding mission over South Central Texas on July 2nd, 2025, the company's CEO confirmed. But meteorologists said cloud seeding was not responsible for the powerful storms that led to deadly flooding in Texas.
And as we all know, meteorologists can like easily predict the weather.
If you look up fucking nailed it in the dictionary, you're going to see a picture of a meteorologist. Also from Snopes, Rainmaker did carry out a cloud seeding mission over the eastern part of South Central Texas on July 2nd, 2025. Augustus DeRico, the company CEO, confirmed in a thread shared on X, but meteorologists said cloud seeding was not responsible for the powerful storms that led to deadly flooding in Texas. Therefore, we've rated this claim false. DeRico added the company did not operate in the affected area on the 3rd or the 4th to contribute to the floods that occurred over the region. So, fact check, false. Same thing as Anthony Fauci has told us that they were not doing gain-of-function research in the Institute of Virology in Wuhan. Fact check.
False.
False. Now, we have theorized as to the why they are cloud seeding. Now, I'm not a meteorologist, but my limited understanding of weather patterns is when you have a flood, that's usually due to an excess of
rain.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. Just want to run that by someone, make sure I'm not
paying attention.
So, why? What are some of the reasons that we have theorized that we need? Are we in some kind of national drought that I haven't heard about?
No. Not that I've heard about.
Aren't we always? Didn't they just constantly say?
Dude, when I was in Tennessee, they hadn't had rain for like 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
And people were starting to talk about drought. Because it rains there like all through the summer.
Yeah.
You know, and people are suddenly, oh, I think we're about to be in a drought.
So I just typed into Google, are we in a drought? And the AI overview it just flat out says yes.
No explanation, just yes.
I mean, it's probably pulling some information from me because it is showing California, so it's using something about my location where my IP address is coming from.
California.
But yes, much of the western United States, including California, is experiencing drought conditions. The drought is severe in many areas, with some regions experiencing the worst drought in literally says over 1,000 years.
We have had record rain.
keeping track of the weather 1,000 years ago. That's good work if you can get it.
Yeah. Oh, they can do it. Experts,
No, that's just not.
We are in the Bay Area in the coolest summer since 1965. No drought. It was literally everything was wet this morning.
It was raining
July.
this morning.
Yes, which I like.
It was drizzling. I don't like it.
It's nice.
You skeptics, man.
Give me a fucking drought any day of the week.
But we have theorized that we need a bunch of water for all these cooling centers that are going up everywhere, which are going up everywhere. Type in cooling center. Check your local listings. Something will come up.
So hold on. That rain seeding company was spraying in Texas.
I think it was 2 weeks ago. I played a little clip from the CEO of a cloud seeding company. That was actually the Rainmaker CEO.
Yeah. Okay, right.
That clip didn't really. It wasn't. We didn't get to the right part in the clip, but he was answering questions about their. And I think that's what you just snoped, right? Did Rainmaker cause the floods in Texas?
Yes.
Okay.
But they stopped rain. Their excuse was that they stopped 2 days before the floods.
Yeah. The floods were on the 4th. They stopped on the 2nd.
Okay, so let me just try to understand this.
Good luck. Good luck.
Their rain
just scratching the surface.
Their business that has just probably billions of dollars invested in it. It's called Rainmaker.
Mm-hmm. Peter Thiel.
And who
needs cooling centers for his data.
Their goal is to make rain.
Yes.
And so they're doing what they do 2 days before this flood with an attempt to make rain.
Mm-hmm.
And then they stopped, but the rain that happened was not a result of their work. Is that their claim?
According to them.
That's their claim.
Yes. So let's break this down.
So did their product not actually work? Did what they do fail? Are they a failed business?
Sounds like they're claiming that there's a window when they perform the operation, and then after that, there's a window in which the operation's results should
I think he made
that window is 2 days.
I think he made some loose talk around that they had their product work. They're causing rain, and then they saw actual rain was coming, so they stopped. So there wouldn't be too much rain, which there was.
There was just some dude
in the form of
there was a meteorologist in the office, like, oh shit, fucking click, 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 stop.
Do you guys think that technology works so well and so precisely that a claim about... So first of all, in order for them to be responsible, that technology has to work, right? I don't know enough about cloud seeding.
In a free market, 100% free market, absolutely yes. In order for it to make money, it has to work.
Okay.
But if they're getting money from sources who don't give a shit whether it works or not, like the government, who can just spend money on things and have it fail and they don't care, then no.
Okay, let's break this down. This is going to be fun.
Okay.
And you're going to have things to say about this. Speaking of chemtrails, I meant cloud seeding. Sorry about that. If you were spraying silver iodide into the clouds to stimulate rainfall in Texas on the 2nd, and we get massive floods on the 4th, and the guy spraying the silver iodide into the clouds is saying, these two things are completely unrelated, and this was confirmed by some prostitute and her favorite client running Snopes.
Some whore.
So, okay, let's break this down. I want to hear your guys' thoughts on this. The silver iodide stimulates rainfall in the clouds.
In theory.
This is what we're being told, right? But you're spraying it in the clouds on the 2nd, and we get the massive floods on the 4th. So you're spraying the silver iodide in the clouds, which means the silver iodide is where? There can only be in two places.
It's in the air.
It's in the clouds, or it's
on the ground.
Yeah. Abs above, so below, as we say when we're doing
abs above.
It's unless, it went up to space with Katy Perry. That's there. There could be a third option. If you guys have a third option, I would love to hear your thoughts. But it's either still in the clouds or it's down on the ground.
It's either in the air or it's on the ground.
Okay. You're saying it's not in the clouds because it didn't cause the flooding, which means it's
on the ground.
On the ground. Okay. So this is from an article I found. A formerly classified operation, cloud seeding is now a well-known tactic. The majority of commercial airlines have cloud seeding contracts with the government. A bunch of pictures of 747s with silver
attachments,
silver iodide sprayers.
Yeah,
that comes out as like a trail into the clouds to simulate rainfall. Quote, silver iodide is basically a dangerous drug. In addition to being a bleach and an explosive, it is extremely addictive, chemical biologist Sam Reeves of the University of Bolivia said. In concentrated doses, silver iodide offers a short but very intense high. When dispersed into the air, however, the effects are minimal and gradual. By drug seeding the atmosphere, the government is effectively building up the tolerance of every United States citizen to silver iodide. Silver iodide increases dopamine production, which is a good thing. Feelings of euphoria and confidence are something everyone can use. The alertness and increased energy are the icing on the cake. These are just a few of the positive side effects of silver iodide. Okay, what do we know about, you've done drugs before?
You take drugs, Danny?
Every day.
Good. So what's the problem?
I don't know.
Okay. What do we know about drugs? You get high, and then what happens?
You come down.
You come down.
Zorro.com.
And the come down is...
not what you pay for.
not a good time. What comes up must go down. And just like the silver iodide, it goes up, and then what?
It comes down.
It comes down on the ground.
Is this the silver lining they're talking about when they're talking about clouds?
No, we're going to get to the silver lining. I found one that I don't think you guys will agree with, but because I wanted to match your enthusiasm for ending on a high note. People have been talking about how negative we are, so I want to add this. So, from the article, while the positive effects of silver iodide may sound appealing, the downsides don't. The come down is pretty bad, reads Warren. There are also some potential psychological effects, including sadness, delusion, and paranoia. Now, speaking of ups and downs, according to this article, is that silver iodide is a drug that gives you a euphoria and a high, and the come down is terrible. Now, one could think that you own silver.
Yes.
I own silver. Jake?
No.
Okay, now's the time to buy.
Okay.
Because if everyone's getting addicted to silver, this is going to create like an epidemic of addiction, of withdrawal, if we stop doing this, which means the price of silver will...
yeah, skyrocket.
Exactly. Make cloud seeding work for you. That's kind of what I'm getting at this.
Okay. I bet my life on it.
So they sprayed into the clouds. All came down on the end of the second.
Right.
And there was nothing left after the third and fourth.
So it's either on the ground.
It's either on the ground. Either you're lying, it's still in the clouds, and that caused the floods. But what you're telling us, I'm just trusting our sources of information. You're saying it all came down. It can only be in one or two places. Also from the article, there are other adverse health effects as well. Exposure to silver can lead to unpronounceable methylglobulomania. Jake can add that to the list of words I never mispronounce. Anxiety, seizures, and cardiac arrest. Scientists also say people who inhale a lot of silver iodide risk permanent lung damage. Now, the respiratory ailment for inhaling too much silver is known as... Anybody? You're just about to say it.
Lung cancer.
Silver lung. That's what it's called. Now, you on the bright side. Did some more digging. This is probably what you're also about to say. Like, are there any upsides to silver lung? There is. Recent studies at the Department of Biochemistry and Immunology in Brazil have shown that injecting silver nanoparticles into the lungs of hamsters, great work if you can get it, have shown an increased resistance to the most recent strains of COVID-19. So, which is good news because the U.S. government has increased the amount of silver iodide they are spraying in the sky by over 800% in the last decade. And so...
Well, the U.S. government has, or these private companies have?
They are all funded by the U.S. government. Rainmaker, the commercial airlines, these are all working with U.S. government contracts.
So whether or not they make rain, speaking of Rainmaker, is immaterial. They're still getting paid. So, because what Jake brought up earlier rang true to me. Like, does it actually work? Well, it didn't work in all those books about the Dust Bowl that I've read. Like, none of the shit they did actually worked.
Well, neither did the internet. Technology's come a long way.
Right, but maybe it doesn't work. And the point isn't to make it work. The point is to poison people with silver iodine.
Silver lung.
Maybe the flood was a natural thing, which floods happen.
Yes.
Like, that probably wasn't the worst flood ever recorded in Texas. And so the point of the rainmaking isn't actually to make rain. Can you actually do that? Like, it seems plausible that you can't.
Maybe it's both. Because I don't know about you skeptics, but we could be looking at rainmaker technologies and the great work that they do. Because number one, they're providing massive amounts of water for these data cooling centers that we need, for which if we don't have these data cooling centers, there's no way that we can pull the CBDC off, which we need for our own safety, our own safety. And they're helping, by silver lung, helping fight off the latest COVID variants. And as people that own silver, they're helping the price of silver go up. So, and furthermore, according to the psychological study, is that the worst thing about doing drugs is coming down off of drugs, which I think is causing this like massive paranoia and people going crazy, right? Hence the car ramming episode I witnessed at the Home Depot. And the problem is, it's not that they're spraying silver iodide and getting everyone addicted to some weird silver drug that's causing this euphoria. The problem is that they stop, which causes the come down, which is making everyone fucking go crazy. So they just need to keep doing it over and over and over again. It's all a net benefit.
I mean, obviously, creating a flood would not help them in their quest to have more water for the data cooling centers, right?
Right.
Because you can't capture that water. It's just too fucking much.
Yeah.
Right. So they didn't want to do that. Right. That what they were trying to do, if the cloud seeding is about data cooling, what they're trying to do is just create some rain, but not so much. Right. So they backed off because they realized, like, oh, this is way too much.
I got a question. You looked up drought, right? The Earth is a closed system. We live in a finite system, right? Nothing, the only thing, nothing leaves our atmosphere. The only thing that
a little bit does.
The only thing that ever enters our atmosphere, I think, is like a minute amount of cosmic dust.
The meteorites.
These are definitely things that on your deathbed you will not be able to say that you're positive about.
Yes.
All of this shit, right?
Okay. Where's the water going?
What do you mean?
It never goes anywhere.
We're in a giant drought. Where's the water?
It's kind of interesting to consider that.
So all the fresh water is being converted to salt water?
Yes. All fresh water rolls into the ocean eventually.
Okay. So where do we get our rain? It takes moisture off the ocean.
Evaporates out of the ocean.
The rain. So is that like not happening anymore?
My good news will address this topic.
It is kind of interesting to consider that you pour yourself a glass of water, that it's pretty much been around since creation. Yeah.
Yeah, the water that you drink there's probably particles in that water that Jesus drank because of the way that the shit just moves around the ocean.
That's what we are definitely told that.
I was going to say Hitler, but
we each have our own Jesus.
I mean, we're told that there's, star dust inside us, and that we share atoms or molecules with Beethoven, and
we're breathing the same air molecules that Genghis the Khan.
Well, especially with like noble chemicals like argon that can never bind with another element. It's just pure argon forever. It can't ever combine with something else. So that's been around forever and just floating around in the air.
None of this stuff is passing my filter so far.
Yeah, well, I had a good education.
I mean, dumb as hell. Keep going.
You want to keep going?
Good news. What's the good news?
Go for it.
Hold on. One minute.
I'm just pointing out that despite maybe some occasional missteps, and we have a small smattering of cases of silver lung throughout the population, like,
what are the cases of silver lung?
I'm pulling that up.
Like, how common is that?
Not very.
But they've only recently started upping their silver into the atmosphere.
The last 10 years by over 800%.
So
and they have found the net positive benefits
of
studying
resistance.
hamsters in Brazil of injecting their lungs with silver iodide, and it finds to fight the latest strains of COVID, which apparently is a thing again.
The crux of this question to me is that if there's a business that makes its money off cloud seeding, it has to work or they go out of business. Unless they're sponsored by the government. And it doesn't matter if they actually succeed. And if that's the case, then why is the government sponsoring this? And I think most people, if you just pick someone off the street and ask them, they'd say, well, because climate change.
It's the California high-speed rail version of cloud seeding.
Also because of climate change.
Yeah.
Like, why do we need a high-speed rail? Because of climate change. It's less emissions to drive a train than the fucking 400 flights that go back and forth between LA and, so 400 flights are going to now get reduced to one bullet train going back and forth. That doesn't make any sense.
At a quarter of the speed.
You can't question climate change. It's like, well, we're cloud seeding because of climate change. Oh, okay. No more questions.
Yep.
I got it. Does it work? We don't know. The data is still out. The jury's still out on that. Well, do we have any data? Well, we're the government, so we don't really tell you.
What do you mean by climate change? What is that? We'll let you know when we see it.
Yeah. Is that the earth getting too hot or too cold? Is that the earth getting too dry or too wet? What is the right place for the earth to be is exactly where it was in 1940. And it can never change. The weather can't change. It can't cool. It can't warm up. It has to be exactly that forever. It doesn't matter that we're coming out of an ice age and the earth is naturally warming. It doesn't matter if we're going back into an ice age. What we have to do is keep it exactly the same forever. It has to be exact same rain, exact same wind, exact same temperature. Like that's what climate change is to most people, is that there's this ideal spot when people started paying attention and it can never change from that. You got any silver lung data for us?
Yet if historically you go like, I just wish we could go back to 1940, they'd be like, you fucking monster.
Yeah. Oh, right. So the white men could rule the world?
The robot is telling me that there is no recognized condition called silver lung.
Typical cat-faced robot.
Let's see if...
Where's my goddamn tacos?
Snopes. We had fun. We taking a break? Be right back.
All right, I promised some good news. This is it. Fucking get ready to party.
All right.
I totally built it up too much. You're probably going to be disappointed. But so I found this this article. I was searching through the sports app that I use, which I follow, like the Raiders, Newcastle, LSU football, and U.S. soccer. And this article came up related to the FIFA World Cup that's coming up in 2026. And it's happening in America, in Mexico, and Canada. So the cities are going to be thousands of miles apart.
Yeah.
And whatever. But this article is titled "How Climate Crisis Could Force FIFA to Rethink the World Cup." So soccer had a fierce...
Got to get that bullet train done.
Soccer had a fierce reckoning with heat at the recently concluded FIFA World Cup in the United States. A sweltering preview of what players and fans may face when the U.S. co-hosts the World Cup with Mexico and Canada next summer. So the FIFA Club World Cup that just finished, which was different clubs around the world all came to the United States and played against each other. So not a national team, but like Manchester City and whatever, clubs from America and all around the world. With temperatures rising worldwide, scientists warn that staging the World Cup and other soccer tournaments in the Northern Hemisphere summer is getting increasingly dangerous for both players and spectators. Some suggested that FIFA may have to consider adjusting the soccer calendar to reduce the risk of heat-related illness. And one thing that they've been doing this summer, and I experienced this firsthand when I went to the soccer game in Nashville, was they're giving water breaks halfway through each half. So there's basically 4 quarters to a soccer game now.
Okay.
Because the players are so fragile that even though it's 90 degrees...
They're professional athletes.
Exactly. And they're playing... I mean, NFL teams play during August and September.
Yeah.
And they've never... I mean, it's hot. And they're... I mean, kids do die during football practice from overheating. That is a real thing. And heat stroke is a real thing. But we've dealt with that forever. This is nothing new.
Yeah.
And so at this game that I was at in Tennessee, it was like 8 o'clock at night. And because it was so hot, no sun, they're all in the shade, they had to have water breaks twice.
I love to explain that to the Australian rugby team who have no breaks ever.
Right.
And it's like 110 degrees.
Or anyone that played high school football. Yeah. Like, it's just like if you ask for
we were
water,
told in football not to drink water because it would make you cramp up.
Right.
We weren't allowed to have water.
And if you asked for water, like everyone would look at you like, Coach, can we get some water? Everyone would look at you like, dude.
You were running laps.
What the fuck? Now everyone's running company run around the fucking field. Like you had to be tough. But toughness is not a thing anymore because that's white supremacy. So the article goes on. Okay, the tournament soccer in June and July is a tradition going back to the first World Cup in 1930. Since then, the 3-month period of June, July, and August globally has warmed by, fasten your fucking seatbelt, dude,
60 degrees.
1 degree.
1 degree.
Celsius.
Even worse.
2 degrees Fahrenheit. 1.89 degrees Fahrenheit, according to the U.S. National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. Meanwhile, European summer temperatures have increased by 1.8 degrees
Celsius,
which is probably like 3 degrees Fahrenheit. And the rate of warming has accelerated since the 1990s. So since the 1930s to today, the temperature has increased 2 degrees. And this is a cause for alarm.
And the water breaks.
So I sent this article to my buddy Adrian in Tennessee. And he had this like profound kind of like insight on it. He goes, that is such bullshit. The World Cup has always been played in Europe at night.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's not that hot. And the reason they played it at night is because that's when everyone would be able to watch it. We have to wake up kind of early to watch it. Like we've gone to the Toad at 6 a.m. to watch our teams play. But because it's being played in the U.S., they want to play it in the middle of the day, the hottest time of the day, for the TV ratings. And so that's why it's so fucking hot. Because obviously 2 degrees doesn't fucking matter. Like who gives a shit? If it's 90 or 92, like what's the difference, right? So we're not talking about an increase.
Well, to go back to the logical fallacies, it's a slippery slope. 2 degrees here, 2 degrees there. Next thing you know, it's 40 degrees hotter.
Except that it's been 2 degrees since 1930.
Slippery slope, brother.
I think we could have gotten used to this.
I would like to get to the point where I could grow mangoes here in Northern California.
I'm on board. Let's fucking raise the temperature. Who doesn't want a warmer climate? It's way better warmer than it would be colder. And we're talking about 2 fucking degrees. Do the teams in Africa not play soccer because it's hotter there than it is in the United States? It's utter bullshit. And going back to what we were talking about earlier, like people see this. Like
You
my
said
buddy,
this was a good news segment.
I'm getting there.
Okay.
My buddy Adrian, he sees that and he's like, "That's fucking bullshit. They're just playing the games during the day.
Yeah.
That's what's hotter." Right? Like everyone, and I think people see this and they kind of like, it registers. Like, we're in a new era now. Like, we're not buying this bullshit that they tell us. Climate change is the ultimate fucking hoax. It's like, you can't see it, you can't smell it, you can't tell. Yes, it might feel better, but that's because you're a white supremacist. And it gets colder, that's climate change. It gets warmer, that's climate change. Meanwhile, no one acknowledges that the weather is unpredictable.
There's a flood, climate change. There's a drought, that's climate change. There's an earthquake, climate change.
So this is who is this woman? She is from the UN, and I'm going to turn this up because it's kind of quiet, but this is someone explaining why you should care about climate change.
And I say this because the climate crisis is not passive. The climate crisis is not a result of natural disasters. It's actually man-made. It's a result of...
I'll say it again because I think they missed it.
The climate crisis is man-made. And it's not just man-made, it's white man-made.
Imagine applauding that. Like, it's not just man-made, it's white man-made. Yes.
It's the guy with the degeneration between a C6 and C7. His wife elbows him.
Yeah.
What's her gripe? Why is it white man made?
I think she's about to tell us.
Oh, well, just real quick, because when I think of shitty environments,
Right.
I start thinking
Shit environments.
China.
No, dude, it's Minnesota.
Okay.
Tennessee, where there's no garbage on the streets.
Yeah.
The streets are well paved. The gas costs $2.70.
Sarcasm.
No, it's China.
It's
India. Like the worst climates, the worst environments on Earth are not where white people live.
Now, is she trying to take this is a capitalist or capitalism thing? Because certainly a lot of this pollution that China just kind of lets run rampant is to do with manufacturing dumbass bullshit that can be bought and sold on an open market. Like, so maybe that's the angle she's taking. I don't know.
It's a result of capitalism, years of colonialism, years of racial oppression. And so if you want to get involved, the way that we save our planet is when we protect the most vulnerable communities among us. And this includes Black trans women. This includes indigenous...
That's the fucking answer. Black trans women. Now, finally, if we just put those people everywhere, we would all have a very pristine environment. So apparently this was the warmest year on record.
Okay.
Despite it being the coldest year on record
in the Bay Area.
In the Bay Area. But as we know, climate is very predictable. Weather is predictable, and they have it figured out. But one of the reasons why it's the warmest year on record, you know what the most important greenhouse gas is? The most like
CO2?
No.
Argon.
No. Nice guess.
Radon.
The greenhouse gas that has the most effect on warming the planet is water vapor. This is according to Wikipedia. Who doesn't lie? That's all I could find.
Real quick.
Yeah.
I Googled, is FIFA a corrupt organization?
Oh, my God.
They're notoriously corrupt.
And AI just said, yeah. Very first word, yes.
Nice. So this year is the warmest year on record. Do you know what happened? It was either last year or the year before that increased the amount of water vapor in the air? And it's not cloud seeding. Natural occurrence.
Geysers.
Like a volcano?
Underwater volcanoes. Yeah. So the Tonga eruption blasted unprecedented amounts of water into the atmosphere. So these earthquakes, these volcanoes that happened in the Tonga area have like put more water into the atmosphere than we've ever seen. Normally volcanoes don't do that, but these two were just fucking so insane that they blasted just like the craziest amount of water into the atmosphere, which is the biggest greenhouse gas. So no one will address that. This woman will say that it's white people that are causing climate change, not a volcano that actually blasts water into the atmosphere. Every article that you ever see that's addressing climate change, they will only address issues like it's the hottest year ever or the soccer players are getting tired. And we see this over and over again. Like since the year 2000, we've seen Al Gore in An Inconvenient Truth, Al Gore 2, A More Inconvenient Truth, whatever you called it, right? What else have we had? And propaganda. Greta Thunberg.
Biden telling us that climate change was one of the most existential threats right before he blew up the Nord Stream pipeline.
What is an existential threat, by the way? That means like your life is
We're all
going
to die.
But no one addressed the Nord Stream pipeline.
No.
Methane is supposed to be a horrible greenhouse gas, and they ejected shitloads of that into the atmosphere. So we've had propaganda year after year. All we hear about, California forcing people to buy electric cars, the city we live in banning natural gas, which is so clean you can burn it inside your house with no problem. Like the propaganda has just been like relentless. Well, here comes the good news. So here's a clip from CNN talking about a poll about how much people are concerned about climate change.
Are Americans afraid of climate change? And the answer is Americans aren't afraid of climate change. Climate activists have not successfully made the case to the American people. I want you to take a look here. Greatly worried about climate change. We have data going all the way back since 1989. Look at that. It was 35%, 2000, 40%, 2020, 46%, and 2025, 40%, which is the exact same percentage as back in 2000. Despite all of these horrible weather events, the percentage of Americans who are greatly worried about climate change has stayed pretty gosh darn consistent, which kind of boggles the mind a little bit. Granted, everything that we see on our television screens, our computer screens, the hurricanes, tornadoes, the flooding, but yet greatly worried about climate change, 40% in 2025, the exact same percentage as back in 2000.
So people know fucking something is up. People are like, no, I'm not buying it. And it's the same thing that got Trump elected. It's the same kind of spirit of people waking up and seeing like, no, you're fucking lying to us. You're evil. You're a pedophile. All you want to do is control us. You're passing all these laws that make no sense. And all we've gotten from it is like articles about FIFA that we clearly see are lying to us. If you really cared about climate change, you would care about shit like that FIFA article where you would say, you're fucking up. Like climate change is real and all you're doing is putting stuff out there that the American people have like taken the red pill. They've woken up to. They don't trust it anymore. They can see that this is total bullshit. If you want to convince people, you have to tell the truth. And all they've done is lie to us. And it's not just about climate change. Every single thing along the line, people are totally awake to. And I think that the people that are pulling the strings are aware that they're on a razor's edge right now and that the whole fucking thing could just come crumbling down. And if the Jeffrey Epstein thing comes out, like that might be the pin that pops the fucking balloon that they are all living on.